All right, class, settle down. Total focus here, please. Welcome, KSLU law students. Today we are dismantling a guaranteed exam favorite, question 25, discussing Parliament's power to amend the Constitution and its limitations. Listen to me very carefully. Writing this exact question accurately, structurally, and decisively, that is what will secure you a full 16 marks on your constitutional law exam. Nothing less is acceptable. We're going to treat this session as a masterclass in scoring, so have your pens ready. Okay, here is your structural blueprint for that 16-mark answer. We'll be moving through the introduction, procedure of amendment, the scope of amending power, limitations, the importance, and finally, the conclusion. Memorize this exact framework.
Let's dive right into Section 1, the introduction.
The Constitution of India provides Parliament the power to amend the Constitution under Article 368. This power ensures flexibility, allowing the Constitution to adapt to changing needs. Now, the moment you've written this, take your pen and explicitly underline Article 368 and the word flexibility. You do this to capture the evaluator's attention immediately. It proves right in the first two sentences that you know the exact source of the power and its primary jurisprudential purpose. Moving on to Section 2, the procedure of amendment under Article 368.
Now, outlining this procedure flawlessly is absolutely crucial. The examiner is essentially doing a bare act review in their head as they read your paper. An amendment is done in three distinct ways. First, simple majority. This is for ordinary provisions like forming new states, and honestly, it isn't strictly a constitutional amendment. Second, special majority. This requires a majority of the total membership plus 2/3 present in voting. This is used for most constitutional amendments. And third, special majority plus state ratification. This is required for federal provisions, needing approval from at least half the state legislatures. It applies to things like the election of the president, distribution of powers, the judiciary, and so on. Now, I want you to recreate this exact three-column structure in your KSLU answer scripts. It demonstrates absolute clarity to the evaluator.
Section 3, the scope of amending power. Dictate this into your memory. Parliament can add, alter, or repeal any provision of the Constitution. Power is wide but not unlimited. Pay attention here. That second sentence is the pivotal ratio you must highlight. Underline wide but not unlimited. This specific phrase acts as the perfect academic bridge setting up the next, and frankly the most critical, section of your answer. Which brings us to Section 4, limitations on amending power. Students, this section right here is the battleground where you prove your mettle. Point 1. 1. Basic Structure Doctrine. Landmark case, Kesavananda Bharati v. State of Kerala. Supreme Court held that Parliament cannot alter the basic structure of the Constitution. Now wait. Stop writing for just a moment and listen to me. On your exam paper, you must draw a separate, clean box for this case. First, the background. Swami Kesavananda Bharati challenged Kerala land reform legislation that placed restrictions on his religious property. Ultimately, this evolved into a massive challenge against the 24th, 25th, and 29th constitutional amendments. Second, the ratio decidendi. In a historic 7-6 majority, the court ruled that while Parliament has vast power under Article 368, it absolutely cannot destroy or alter the basic structure. And third, the relevance. Why does this matter? It legally established the ultimate unwritten limitation on Parliament, ensuring that transient political majorities cannot erase India's democratic and secular identity. Box this case. Underline the name. Capture that 16-mark evaluator immediately. Directly following your case box, you will provide the examples of basic structure: supremacy of Constitution, rule of law, separation of powers, judicial review, federalism, secularism. Present these exactly as a crisp, bulleted list. Let them breathe on the page. All right, your second limitation point is judicial review. Write this verbatim. Courts can review constitutional amendments. If an amendment violates the basic structure, it is invalid. Once written, heavily underline judicial review in the exam hall. Doing this shows total mastery of the court's institutional checking power. Moving to point number 3, limited amending power. Right. Landmark case, Minerva Mills v. Union of India. Parliament cannot destroy or damage basic structure. Limited amending power itself is part of basic structure. Prepare yourselves here for the second major mandatory case law dissection. I want you to draw a thick box around Minerva Mills v. Union of India, 1980.
The background. Parliament enacted the 42nd Amendment during the emergency, attempting to completely overrule Kesavananda by declaring absolutely no limitations on amending power. The ratio decidendi. The Supreme Court struck this down. They ruled that the limited amending power itself is a fundamental part of the basic structure. And the absolute relevance? The court brilliantly reasoned that a donee of a limited power, meaning Parliament, cannot magically convert its limited power into an unlimited one. Box this brilliantly in your answer script.
And here is your fourth limitation point. Right. Harmony between fundamental rights and DPSPs. Amendments must maintain a balance between Part 3 and Part 4. Let me give you a hint. Explicitly writing Part 3 and Part 4, rather than just spelling out fundamental rights and directive principles, is a high-scoring technical keyword trick for the strict evaluator. It proves beyond doubt that you know the constitutional mapping. Next up, Section 5. Importance of the amending power. List these points out clearly. Ensures flexibility of the Constitution. Prevents arbitrary changes. Maintains constitutional supremacy. Now, what's really interesting about this concept is how it perfectly wraps up the theoretical intent of Article 368. You started talking about flexibility all the way back in the introduction, and now you close the loop by showing how limitations prevent that flexibility from becoming outright tyranny. It shows supremacy cohesion. Finally, Section 6. The conclusion. A strong, authoritative conclusion seals the perfect score. Write this exactly as I say it. Parliament's power to amend the Constitution is essential for its growth, but it is not absolute. The basic Structure Doctrine ensures that the core principles of the Constitution remain intact, maintaining a balance between flexibility and stability. And just like that, you've secured your 16 marks. But before we finish up today, I'll leave you with a provocative question. Considering the basic Structure Doctrine is entirely a judicial creation, not found anywhere in the written text of the Constitution, could a future parliamentary majority with a sweeping public mandate ever legally bypass this delicate balance? Or is the ghost of Kesavananda Bharati permanent? Think about it. Good luck with your exams, students. Class dismissed.